everyone. Appreciate you coming here tonight. I know there's a lot of questions. My family owns the golf course with my father's for over 30 years. Sadly, in November, we finally reached the point where we could no longer move forward, and so we had to close it. Would like to let you know that we have turned over every stone between there and here. We reached out to, on more than one occasion, trying to see if there's anyone willing to carry forward this golf course. There was not. So we had to begin to decide what we could do to move forward. It's a very sad day. It's the end of over 3 decades of blood, sweat, and tears. I know it means a lot to y'all, especially those of y'all who live on the golf course. So I'm very sad. It was a very sad time, and I'm sorry that we're here for that reason. But we had to begin to figure out what can we do and where can we go with this property moving forward. So at that time, we began to reach out, get sources, find people. We've arrived. Our engineer, Mark McGuire, is here. Michelle Yee with DT Design Studio is here. We had a feasibility study done. We did a market study to try and find out what does Bartlett need, what can we do to help this property move forward, have a brighter future, not sit here holding the earth together. So we began this process. We've taken what we've learned in the market study, and we've begun to work with Michelle. Mark's work's about to begin. If you've noticed, if you are out there, it's being surveyed right now. This meeting is preemptive, okay? We know, and when we're out there, people are asking what's going to happen, what's going on. It's been months since we closed it. So we wanted to go ahead and have a meeting and let people see what is in the works. This has not been submitted. This has to go through a lot of processes. This is going to go through public boards, mayor and alderman, planning. So we are early, but we want to show you what's happening so you have an understanding of what's going on in your neighborhood. And so I'm going to turn this over to Michelle. Michelle has done, I think, a beautiful job of coming up with a concept that we can start to use to move forward. So I'll let her give a presentation, and then afterwards we can have some questions so that if there's anything in particular on your mind, she can kind of tell you what she's thinking and where this potentially could be going. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Hi, everybody. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Please no food or drink in here. Silence your cell phones and try to limit any flash photography that might be distracting to other guests. So what we're going to start with is the presentation, going into the background and timeline of the project. Then we're going to talk about the conceptual development plan that you've seen, go into a little bit more detail about that. Following that, we will have the Q&A. My colleague Cameron will go over the procedures and help facilitate the Q&A, so please hold your questions until that time. We'll try to make everything streamlined and quick, because we have this space until 7, so we'll try to get everybody taken care of as soon as we can. So, that being said, all right. Here is an image of the existing property. You'll see that it is actually kind of bisected. Part of it is 102 acres, part of it is 34 acres. And as far as the existing zoning goes, you know, this is always kind of where we start off when we're looking at new concepts, is what has been approved for the site. So the existing zoning on this property is RS10, which allows for 10,000 square foot lots. That is actually the same as the zoning to the east, the west, and the south is all 10,000 square foot lots. And you'll see this kind of reflected in the concept plan of where we put certain lots in response to the adjacencies. In the kind of middle of the two parcels, there are some 7,000 square foot lots. These are on a zoning district called RTH. So that is the minimum single family homes or lot size on the RTH zoning. And then kind of to the north and northeast of the 34 acre parcel, we have some existing multifamily zoning and also existing commercial zoning. So think about this property being right next to more density, more commercial and multifamily density and then transitioning into that single-family neighborhood. And one thing to note is, as it's currently developed, or as it's currently zoned, it can be developed into all 10,000 square foot lots with no common open space requirement. And we didn't necessarily feel like that was the appropriate solution for this property, because it can provide more open space and provide more amenities for the community. Onto the timeline of the project. As Jared mentioned, the golf course closed in last November. Here we are today in the neighborhood meeting. Moving forward, we will be submitting for a special use permit to the city to allow a residential mixed-use development. And that process will move into public hearings, so from the Planning Commission and the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. So this is not the last time you'll be able to ask questions or interact with us in any way. And really, this special use permit is just the first step that we have to go through among a long list of planning, design, engineering approvals before anything really, start to see anything really start happening. But the project is going to have to be phased. It's a large site, and so it will take many years to really see that full build out. But this just gives you the timeline. We're here at the beginning of this process. The conceptual development plan here, we'll start with going into a little bit more detail about this 102-acre piece, which is all single family, and then we'll move into the 34-acre aging in place community or mixed use senior housing piece. And so the way that we kind of figured out why each piece is located where is because as we reviewed with that existing zoning, we wanted to provide a transition between the multifamily and the commercial that exists into the single family area. And of course, where there is a lot of single family already, we wanted to be respectful of that. And another reason is that the senior housing was found to be a need in the community by the market study. So here we'll see an image of the single family portion. So where there are existing 10,000 square foot lots, we are putting either 10,000 square foot lots or a buffer with 7,200 square foot lots. And where there are existing 7,000 square foot lots, we are putting 7,200 square foot lots. So doing our best to try to make sure the lot sizes match or can be compatible with adjacent existing homes. And only in the interior of the new development is where we're putting 6,000 square foot lots. So those do not abut any adjacent lots. And you'll also see in this image all of the green space, the common open space. We'll have a minimum of 20% common open space. We'll go into a little bit more detail further on what we envision in those spaces. And here is an example, or some examples of potential home elevations that could be in the single-family area. And as I mentioned before, the common open space amenities. So some of the things that we're thinking about here are trying to keep the existing ponds where we can and add some overlooks or docks where you can enjoy them. And pavilions for shade and gathering, and also some active uses such as pickleball courts. We are also looking at connecting everything with a walking trail system to allow neighbors and people in the community to walk through the neighborhood. Now, I wanted to kind of show the whole overall plan again before we move into the 34-acre aging in place community, which is on this next slide, zoomed in. So here, the aging in place community is really kind of this component of the overall. We wanted to create a lot of opportunities for people to have housing options that, you know, if they wanted to downsize, they could still stay in the community instead of going somewhere else. So here we have 6,000 square foot age-restricted lots. Those are adjacent to the existing multifamily to the north and the 7,000 square foot lots to the south. So those offer a transition between those two products. And then also we have a 26-acre mixed-use senior housing component. Now the reason why it's kind of shown as a blank slate here is that we know there could be a lot of different components, and we didn't want to necessarily show a final plan for this, but we do have an image coming up that gives an idea of what this could be. So I wanted to kind of frame that for everybody. So here's what we're thinking about for the aging in place concept inside the mixed-use senior housing area. So this is 26 acres. It could have uses such as independent cottages, independent living facility, assisted living facility. We believe that this will allow, you know, somebody, an operator, to come in and really build this out to what suits their program, and so to really find what that market niche is. And within the aging in place community, you know, we have independent living, assisted living, memory care, but we also have public facing amenities. So we're thinking about a public plaza, maybe an amphitheater for some events.
That's exactly what I want to hear.
And then
You already got vacant buildings right next door there.
additionally, we have some compatible ground floor retail and office uses that would be integrated into perhaps the independent living building. So you could have a doctor's office, a yoga studio, maybe a coffee shop, restaurant, bookstore. So really just trying to create a walkable community where you can hang out with a grandparent or a grandkid and just kind of spend your day in this area. Additionally, we have other aging in place amenities, for example, maybe a bocce court, shuffleboard, or pickleball. And again, connecting everything with walkability, walking trails and sidewalks.
It's already there.
So with that, that's really kind of the end of my portion of the presentation, so we can get on to your questions, as I'm sure you have a lot of. And I will toss it over to Cameron, who is down below. Cameron's going to go over the procedures for the Q&A portion.
All right, thanks for being here, everybody. As Michelle mentioned, want to open up the Q&A. Appreciate you all being here. So I'll be here. I'll have a microphone. So if you could line up where I am and ask questions. And if we get to the back of the room, feel free to kind of curve around and spill out in the lobby area. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. If you could, too, when you come up, please state your name and address. And we'd like to limit time and redundancy, so please try not to repeat similar questions. We do want to make sure we answer all your questions. And out of respect for your neighbors, please do not speak out of turn during the process. We want to make sure we can get to everybody. All right, so if you want to go ahead and get started, feel free to come on up and I'll have a microphone.
All right, Gita Seckles, 6152 Daybreak. I don't want to cut my 3 minutes. All right. A couple things. Number one, my understanding is if you have a retail or a residential multi-use, you have to have a 30-foot buffer between the existing homes and your new lots. But I don't see that reflected at all in any of your drawings. Okay, so that's number one. Hold on. Number two, I will say as far as the, the open space, it's because you can't build there. That's, I've already gone through the plans, the existing zoning, where you're putting in these ponds or keeping the ponds and whatnot. It's because you literally cannot build there by law, okay? Also, in regards to, putting the commercial over by the existing commercial, again, that existing commercial area, at least the bulk of it that, abuts any of the neighborhoods, is also not buildable. So there can't be anything there either. So, I really have an issue with, what you're trying to do. I'm sorry, I don't believe that you actually tried to look at any other offers. We've heard about it. I actually have the list of the public meetings. I already have the schedule, okay? And I know that they're going to try to submit by August 4th, and we're going to have the planning commission on August 2nd. Find me, okay? Give us that call. Anyway, so I just don't believe it. I also, I moved here from Cook County, Illinois, and I gotta tell you, the stuff that I've seen with the mayor's office, the alderman's office, the backdoor meetings, you knew you guys were coming to that stuff. You knew it. We know you knew it. The mayor knew it. It's ridiculous. We moved from Chicago to get away from this. This is Crook County all over again. Exactly, Crook County. That is where I lived. It was terrible. This seems to be the same.
Thank you. I will say for the buffers, we do have, it's really hard to show that in the plan, but we do have the 30 feet allocated within the borders of the mixed-use senior housing area. So that will be accommodated.
And as to the question about whether we had any offers, we have not. This is a fact. So I wish that we had. I would love it. We have not received anything. We've had, we have on more than one occasion solicited from people. I'm sorry.
Your property over, I'm willing to pay more on my property tax.
Well, so, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
If the city took it over, I'm willing to pay more on my property tax.
So, I appreciate that.
Pay the city for it, pay or whatever your cut is.
So that is a question for Bartlett. We have not, Bartlett does not have any interest in the golf course. So I understand that being sometimes a logical thought. Hey, what if this would happen? That's not happening. What we're seeing in this community, and if you look at it, we've had multiple closures. Germantown Country Club is closed. Colonial North is closed. Going back, Cordova Club is closed. Now we've closed. To take municipal dollars and tax dollars from the citizens and take this over and lose money on it when a lot of our play, they're not Bartlett citizens, they're not paying taxes here. So that's the deterrence. There was a time years ago when you had more municipal courses, but we're not seeing that. The Bear Trace is closed. They tried to mimic the Robert Jones. So I totally understand what you're saying, and I get it. But that's not reality. So I wish that it was reality, but it's not. So we're at a stage now where there was not anything, there's nobody to take this over. So we've had to take the next steps. But I totally appreciate where you're coming from. I appreciate your frustration. It was a sad day, and if we could find a genie bottle and get a wish, I would love to turn this into a vibrant golf course and leave it the way it is. This is a choice of necessity, and the reality is where we are. And I appreciate your frustration, and I understand why that thinking would be, well, what about this? So I want to address that directly because I would feel exactly the same as you. I'm sad and frustrated that we're here and we're doing the best we can for the next step.
So how much do you want for it?
Hey, there's a microphone up here for a reason.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
All right, here's my question to the engineer as well. Will White, Chelsea Nicole Cove, just off of Dave Green. have a really big issue with the golf course. I miss it because there was a lot of like playing out there. However, what impact studies have been done and where can we find it? Has there been an impact study done with how it's going to affect our schools? How is it going to affect traffic in the area? How is it going to affect the stormwater mitigation on that, as well as our emergency responders? And as well as environmental.
I can speak to stormwater only. The reason we're keeping the ponds a little bit lower some of them would be to manage the stormwater retention. So we want to increase the runoff rate on anybody's adjacent properties.
You're gonna increase the runoff rate because there's
No.
more concrete.
No, we submit it to a pond, maintain it, and release that pre-developed rate.
What about the other impact studies? About the school districts? What about how's this gonna impact our school district?
Well, look, that's obviously something that we'll take on as we move forward through the process. The city is not going to permit this if it's going to put unnecessary strain on water, sewer, schools. Those are all conversations we're going to have. And tonight, as we said, and I understand where you're coming from, we wanted to have a preemptive meeting because understandably there's questions. This has not even been submitted yet. So we are early in the process, and a lot of those things are coming, and you'll be able to see them when we get to that. And we'll be able to, as we go through the process. This has not even been submitted, it's not complete, we're surveying right now. We just we felt like it was right to go ahead and start letting people see and answer questions, because it's been months since we closed, and we thought that was the right thing to do. So understandably, I think all of your questions will be answered in the process. And typically, when these things come about, they're farther along. So this is more of an informative meeting on something that is currently in process. But those questions will be answered.
I hope so.
Good afternoon. My name's Mark Christian. I live at 4150 Tower Drive. We built our house there across the 7th Fairway in 1998. We bought that house and that property for the sole reason that we're backed up to a golf course. We have a lake in our backyard. I think we're the only property on the golf course that has a lake all the way across the back of the property. We love the place. We love Bartlett. And we have a house that's probably worth $400,000 plus. What's going to happen to our values of our houses as this process goes on, and construction and all the dirt and everything? I have a 50-year plus background in engineering and construction. Every time we get a 1-inch rain, the way it was designed originally, all your storm drains dump onto the golf course ponds, all around the property. We have a lake from our lot all the way across to the other side, about 360 feet of water, a foot deep, that runs across it. Major storm drain issues are going to be involved, and according to that map you had, they're going to take out our lake and put a road there and build houses right back up against our property. My second question is, how do we know what size houses restrictions are going to be built there? Is there a way to know that now? And I'd like to have a copy of that one where you show all the houses on there.
Yes, sir.
Can we get a copy of that? But primarily, is this going to knock our houses down by 20%? There's 180 houses that touch the golf course property, and your plot shows about 360 lots, not counting those special lots on the northeast corner of the thing. Are we going to build really small single lot? Ugly houses that are butt back up to each other, 0 lot line type houses?
No, sir, I think it's going to be very nice. And what we're working on, the builders we're talking to.
I know that your background is building custom houses.
Yes, sir.
And you have a fine reputation for doing that.
Thank you.
But that's not what's going to be built on this property. You're not going to be building them. You're going to be subdivisions out to other people to build, like Hobbs. Hobbs built a bunch of pretty good houses and a bunch of not so good houses in between the golf course property. So what do we expect to see as far as that kind of houses?
So I had a conversation this week with a building company that can handle this. I'll just, at this point, if they reach a point where they're willing to commit, then I'll let them say that. But what they were suggesting is their base would be $190 a square foot, 2,000 square feet, and the base house would be about $380,000. Based on the numbers that we're looking at in terms of comps, we're sitting on a 325 to 335. So our hope is this will work together and will shore up the neighborhood. I would say this to you, and I just, in all fairness, as someone who builds, I think that the golf course, while it could be viewed as an enhancement, in a lot of ways holds the neighborhood back right now, because you have a shutter golf course that's zoned R10. So when somebody's looking at a house, is that really, the uncertainty of that is a problem. And so I think if we can create stability, we have certainty, we can move forward, if that's the product that comes through. And look, that's a year off, so understand, everything I'm working on here is conceptual. I want to leave this in better shape. So right now, there's so much uncertainty, I think frankly, it hurts the property values, and certainty could give us a better path moving forward, sir.
Well, I know my time's up, but when we bought our house and had it built, any house that was touching the golf course, the value of that house was about 20% more than the house right across the street.
Yes, sir.
Same house.
Yes, sir.
And so we chose to buy that house because we had a beautiful golf course in the backyard. Loved it for many years now. We just hate that we're going to have to give up with it and put up with that dust.
Sir, and I know it's a little consolation, but I hate it too. It's a sad day, and it's something we've worked on for over 30 years, and I'm sorry that it's over, and we're genuinely trying to work with people to come up with a better path forward. And I know that's not a great consolation, but it's all I can say. Sometimes all you can say is, I hate this is happening, and I'm doing the best I can.
2,000 square foot house. Nothing spoiler and all.
Sir, that was what, I spoke to somebody this week about the program they would have and what they would do. And what they said is they felt like their base start would be a 2,000 square foot house, which they would list at $190 a square foot, and there's a $380,000 ask on the base house. So their experience, and I hope that that's something that they're accurate on. Now, that comes a year from now, or 18 months from now. So what we're talking about is speculative, but that's something that I hope could transpire.
The time frame on the stuff that's on the west side, on the second fairway, is that going to be coming in last, or what?
Some of that will be in Mark's territory, because depending on where water and sewer come in. I know with one person I talked to, their interest was more driving range 10 and 18 to start, because there's all three types of lots, and they're looking for more diversity. One area that we continue to speak with people about is, what do you see here? They want multiple products, and multiple products are different size lots, so it's really going to be more different maintenance. And so that is an area that has 90s, 60s, and 50s, so it's very attractive to them from that standpoint.
Yeah, our house is 3,400 square feet
Yes, sir.
plus. We're going to build a house 2,000 square feet behind it, but there's a buffer.
Turn your mic on.
That's what worries me.
Yes, sir.
In our house back. Thank you for
Yes,
your
sir.
time.
Sure. Thank you for coming.
Kathleen Bearden, 5503 Wakefield Cove in Bartlett, 38134. I have a few thoughts, since this is in the planning station. I'm a senior, I'm a widow, I don't walk my dog, and she's big. I've been looking for a place to downsize, and I've got an 1,800 square foot house, and I would like something smaller. But I need one that has a fence so that I can let my dog out. I looked at the property that they did, what they've done to Baptist Children's Home. They wiped out all the trees, and that was just, you know what? I went through Collierville today, and they're considered the city of trees. And I look at what happened at Baptist Children's Home, and I'm like, hello, what happened to the trees? And I don't want to see that happen. I'm all for you needing to do something with it, but I think sizing for seniors, single story, we don't want to walk stairs when we get older. I'm in my 70s, and I appreciate what you're about to have to do, but I think that there are some considerations. Look at the young people that we would like to have come into the city of Bartlett. They can't afford a $300,000 house. They need something that they can afford, or we're not going to have anybody to replace us when we age out and die. And you have to consider those things when you were talking about housing and what you want to put in these spaces. And I think if you would please kind of take some of that into consideration, because we don't want to be on top of each other, but at the same time, there are needs that the young people have, the needs that the older folks like I have, that need to be considered in these planning stages, so that we can make something that keeps people here in Bartlett rather than scares them away and makes them go look for a new community somewhere else.
Mark Weeks, 4561 King Arthur Cove. 38135. I've worked on that golf course. Bob, Sam, y'all have a drainage problem. Now. I raised your dams. I built your retaining walls. I put in sidewalks. Y'all definitely have a drainage problem right now. So first of all, one, drainage issues. Number two, sewer treatment. And number three, that northeast corner that you want to use, mixed use, is that apartments?
No, sir, no apartments in this plan.
And then what have you, what have you figured as far as your marketing? How many people and children are going to be in that place?
In terms of the senior,
Every bit of it.
every bit of it, I want to say the last number I looked at with Michelle on the lots, there were say 295 lots. So we average 2.5 people per house. It just depends on what that comes to. A lot of this product is going to be targeted at aging in place. So, you know, with that, I think you're anticipating 2 people per house, but realistically, I mean, are you talking about bringing 700-800 people into the community?
What about the sewage? That old depot where she just talked about, they have to hold their sewage till at night.
Yes.
Because they're using the city of Memphis. Our sewage treatment plant on the north end of Bartlett is at capacity, and the Bartlett city knows that. $70 million for a new plant. What is this gonna do? Are y'all gonna put tanks out there and pump this to city of Memphis during the night?
So obviously, as we said, we're ahead of that. Mark may be better be able to speculate on that.
Well, y'all,
The two,
this is like driving a car down the road until the wheels fall off. Now the wheels are falling off. Now you're trying to sell the car. You had 17 employees at that golf course. When you closed that golf course, you had it down to 3 people. And one of those guys was cutting grass and working the snack bar in the golf course. So if you would have kept that golf course up, I think you would have had a little better product.
Hi, I'm Susan Klein, and I live across St. Elmo in Quail Ridge. And I have 2 suggestions and 2 questions. First suggestion for you, have you looked at the development in Jonesboro, Arkansas, that the developer abandoned the golf course and the owners of the property took over the management of the golf course? Secondly, there is in Heber Springs, Arkansas, the Thunderbird Golf Club, which is a 9-hole golf course and has properties all around it, and it's thriving, even though it's probably 30 to 40 years old. And they put a swimming pool in, and it's a hub of the community. And Bartlett doesn't have a public swimming pool, and I'm sure there's people who would like to pay to go swimming, like me and my granddaughter. Okay, and then the next question is, Billy Mare is the major thoroughfare, right there on the west end. Have you done any traffic studies on how this is going to increase the traffic? And Billy Mare is already a killing zone. There have been many wrecks there. It's a country road, but there's been development all up and down, and there needs to be stoplights, and it needs to be widened. Is that going to be done first before you bring all these people in?
I don't know, that's a Bartlett question, so certainly those things will come up as we look at what the pressures do. Again, we have not even submitted this yet, much less it's going for approval, so all of those things will have to be factored in, looked by the city and engineering, and work back and forth, so.
I would think it should be your question if you care about the people who are going to buy these cars.
I think that's very fair. I will ask the question because we very much do care.
And then my last question is, are you going to be doing business with builders or any other way with the mayor or his relatives or any of the aldermen and their relatives?
I don't know any of those people. I've not talked to them, so I don't have any anticipation that's going to be the case.
Is there any prohibition against you doing business with those people?
Not that I'm aware of.
Of course. There should be.
Hello, my name is Kyle Porter. I live at 6461 Daybreak Drive. A couple things. So first, you mentioned that this is still in the planning phase. So I want to know, how is the community going to give feedback to approve or disapprove or this decision when it's made? Because I definitely think that needs to be something the community's involved.
Sure. The submittal, what we submit will be publicly available through the city, and you'll be able to comment just like this at the planning commission and
So we can comment, but how are we going to actually vote in order to have an impact in the decision to make sure this is right for the community?
So your elected officials, your comments will be relayed to your elected officials.
Okay,
So it's not a direct thing that's voted on by people.
okay, so then we need to get with the elected officials, I guess. All right, so the next thing is there's been a lot of statements of hope and things like that. I hope this is going to be this way, I hope this is going to be that way. What's going to be done in order to make sure that these hopes are actually made real with whatever contractual agreements that are made up, to make sure that that is what the city decides we want to do?
And I think part of that is what we submit will become basically legally enforceable documents. So we're going to have conditions in the text that say, you know, here's what we're going to do, here's what's allowed, here's what's not allowed.
And we just need to hope that the city officials do something that's going to represent us. Yeah, but that's a good point, even though they're not here.
This is a neighborhood meeting, so we will be going forward to the city officials.
So we will have a chance to directly speak with the city officials as well and make sure that they present their plans and that they're aware of our feedback and whether or not they'll be reelected based off of these decisions?
Yes.
Good. A couple other things. One, so on Daybreak Drive, the power grid is terrible. What's going to be done in order to make sure the power grid is not
You know, that's something that we have to work through with MLGW, you know.
I agree, but again, so I have a neighbor who, he said that up until about, I can't remember like how long ago it was, but when you first moved in, it was good. And then halfway through, it got bad, and it never got better. And so I'm just saying that's an issue. The other thing that I mentioned as well, that I wanted to make sure of as well, is what studies have been done to make sure that the city of Bartlett is not going to be negatively impacted. We moved to Bartlett because Bartlett is where people want to be, not the city of Memphis. And so what is going to be done to make sure that this decision does not make Bartlett the city of Memphis? Because we need to be more Bartlett, not more Memphis. And that's why people are moving here. And I'm going to be honest, I've got a young family, my wife, we've talked about it, and she said, well, do we need to move? And the truth is I don't know, because again, I want to live in Bartlett. I don't want to live in Memphis, and I won't live in Memphis.
Same here.
So what's going to be done? What's going to be done, or have we done any studies to see if this is going to make Bartlett Memphis? Because if you look at it, so I'm not from here. My wife's from here. I've heard stories about how great the city of Memphis was 20 years ago. There's lots of areas. I think Orange Mound was a nice area at one point, 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, 40 years ago. But again, what are we doing to make sure that that does not happen to Bartlett? And is this decision going to make it so we're going to have that negative impact?
I would say this, we're going to go through the public process. As you were asking earlier, look, you're going to be able to interact, there's going to be public hearings where your elected officials are there. If this city is the city that you love, it is a wonderful city, then your people here are going to be involved in the process in that manner. The elected officials are going to be involved in that. And if they're the ones that have, if this process has brought the city to be the way you love it, then I have to think if you get involved, it'll stay that way.
Well, we need to have some studies done to ensure that that's the case, because I might feel it's this way, they might feel it's that way, but you know what? Our feelings mean nothing, because you know what? There might have been good feelings 20, 30 years ago with a lot of the nice neighborhoods, and now look at where they are today. And I don't want that to happen to Bartlett.
It's gonna be rowdy if you do that.
Yeah, we'll be rowdy.
All right. Afternoon. My name is Richard Coleman. I live at 4124 Golfview Cove. Raise your hand if you live by the golf course. On the golf course. Okay. Raise your hand if you have a generator. Okay. So, you know, I'll piggyback on his thing. And my question is this, okay? I'm not dealing, with all of that, what you got going. I'm dealing with what you got right now, okay? I want to ask you point blank. I know that we wore out the code enforcement people about y'all cutting that grass on a regular basis, okay? I've gone out, I've cut my hill that borders the second tee box, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right? I want to know what your plan is for the remainder of the growing season and until you get this thing developed, if you get it approved. That's my first question. The second question is this. If you live by the golf course, how great is your fence right now? Okay? I got pictures where I can show you where I just about done everything in the world to keep that fence from falling down, and it's still hanging in there. My next question, what are you going to put in between us and that property you're developing now? Okay? Because that fence needs to be repaired. Y'all are going to develop it, and y'all need to take care of that fence. It's my opinion, okay? All right? That's my two questions.
So on the first one, undoubtedly we have gone through a multitude of different things. We have finally arrived with a group that has the golf course cleaned up and back in compliance.
Let me put one thing in, okay? For the people who live at the first of the summer, you have some guy come out and cut along Algeria, okay? And then he sprayed some kind of weed killer, okay? We would like that weed killer along our property line so we don't have to sit there and look at the weeds coming up through the fence and stuff, okay?
Grass all over the road.
All right? Now, that's a question that we need to do. We need to keep this, so we don't have to be calling code enforcement or calling one of the aldermen to make sure that this is done, okay? All right? You need to be on top of that.
Yes, sir.
And I heard you got wore out about it, okay? So, we don't need to be wearing you out when you're making all these plans, I guess. Now, what's my question about the fence?
So in terms of the fence, we'll get to that. The fence, as it sits now, we're currently in the same code, so the fence cannot be changed. I have talked to a couple homeowners in the last week, and they wanted to build a 6-foot fence and replace their existing fence. The current situation is the fences have to remain the same until there is a new plat recorded or something put it in the place of the existing one. So that's something we have told the city that we are great with people great with people changing if they want to change it. So for now, the city's opinion is it has to stay the same. So that's where we are.
And approve changes and approve fences. I have the covenants right here.
So that came from the city this week.
So you're saying I want to put a 6-foot fence up right now. I can do that or not?
No.
We'll let us know when we can do that.
Absolutely, be happy to. And that is a city of Bartlett decision. We have told the city that we are fine with people changing their fence to something else. Yes, sir.
Hello, Gail Brown, 5994 Willoughby Oak Lane. We live off of Billy Mayer. And I'm here because the lady mentioned about the traffic on Billy Mayer. We moved from Cordova to Bartlett about 2 years ago. We're very fortunate to be in the neighborhood that we are in. And I am a victim of a wreck on Billy Mayer, so we do have some concerns about the traffic on Billy Mayer. And to also let everyone know that we will be attending a meeting tomorrow at the Raleigh Public Library because there are plans to build 96 homes across the street on Billy Mayer between Restner and Windermere neighborhood. So that enhances the issue of the traffic that we're talking about coming in and out off of Billy Mayer. And I don't know how much you can expand Billy Mayer, but it is a 2-lane highway right now. Part of the golf course does back up into our homes that we have there. I don't see it affected with what you're talking about now, but I'm sure somewhere along the line, future plans will probably entertain that area. But our concern is the traffic, and I certainly can understand everybody's concern about buying a home with a golf course. I have played golf maybe once or twice, you know, so I don't know how the golf course looked or what the problem was as far as not bringing people in. Do people not pay to play golf anymore? Is that, you know, why you had to close it? It sounds like there might be some maintenance issues, and, you know, so if you could speak to that, I really would greatly appreciate it. And again, tomorrow, Raleigh Springs, Raleigh Public Library, it will affect the traffic on Billy Mayer for 96 homes, 24-acre lots. I mean, 24 acres is what they're trying to build 96 homes on, single family. That's all I have.
Larry Green, 4166 Greenview Drive. I don't really have any questions. I'm just concerned about you saying how you're concerned about the neighborhood and everything. And then you want to change to a commercial portion of it. I think you're lying. You're not concerned with the neighborhood at all. No. And as for your design, the high density and the traffic, the older gentleman is up here, how you have more homes along the perimeter of the golf course than are currently, they don't match up if you look at them. And thirdly, I want to talk to the people in the audience. The way to stop this is, I know he has his people here, the mayor, we all vote, and we have neighbors that vote, and if you let this abortion as it's designed, I know you have to do something with the property, but if you let something like this abortion design pass, tell your neighbors across the street, and the ones that are not on the golf course, because it's going to affect you with your traffic with this high density development. And then all you have to do is let the mayor know. I guarantee he's got people here because they.
He's right here.
All right, we can all vote against him if he approves it. We all have neighbors and friends that can vote in our favor. And here's the thing, the mayor is the main guy because there's 9 people on the board, 7 are appointed by him, and the 8th and the 9th one is him or his designation and a board of aldermen. So he's the guy we need to get out of the office. If he does this pass, maybe the adjustment and no commercial, because those commercial buildings appear to be 2-stories high.
Yeah.
And that's going to block everybody's saying, I don't want to talk to you.
One thing I do want to clarify is that the height limit based on the underlying zoning is still going to remain 2 stories or 35 feet.
My name's Rich McMullen. We live at 60 Kimberly Reese. My property backs up to the, at one time, beautiful 6th Green. I guess if I heard you correctly, there will be rights and covenants that we will be able to review at some point, or do they exist now?
Those are not ready yet.
Don't you think that might be an option to consider up front, what the rights and covenants might be? Because they're always developed after the fact.
I think the thing, what we're talking about is proposed. So there is no neighborhood. So there are attorneys that do covenants. Yes, sir. And so there will be covenants that are done. There's attorneys that specialize that, and so absolutely that will happen. Absolutely, if this proceeds and is approved. Yes.
All right, assuming that this comes to fruition, and I think assume is a big word right now, are all of those plats absolutely indelibleized, or is there do we have any voice in anything that's on that plat right now?
Right now, there is no plat. This is just a conceptual plan.
Well, okay, conceptual plan.
Yes, sir. I think
it looks indelibleized when it's in ink.
I think what you're asking, if I'm hearing you correctly, is yes, there's going to be a whole process where we're going before planning, we're going before the board and mayor and alderman if it advances, and there will be an opportunity to communicate during that, absolutely. Like, this is not, we don't just draw it down and they say, okay, great, there's an entire process and there will be an opportunity at those points. What we wanted to do tonight is to show the neighbors what's being worked on, what the market studies are saying, and where it looks like we're going. I think, obviously, it's been 8 months since we closed, and that's a long time to go without any communication or understanding. If we had come here in February or March, I'd be showing you something that doesn't look anything like that. That further causes frustration. So our purpose here tonight, this was a meeting that we wanted to have, that we put on so that we can communicate with y'all, because we think that's right and we think that's fair. You know, it's for some of the comments, the only way that we're going, if we move forward with this, the only way that we're going to earn your trust is by being transparent, honest, and proving it over time. If I don't expect anyone to give it, it needs to be earned, and so we understand that. So hopefully tonight, the fact that we are coming here and want to have this meeting before the process starts shows everyone that we're willing to be out there and communicate. We want to be a good. We want to be a positive part of this. And I understand the frustration. And look, that if this continues and proceeds and we're the ones that are doing it, then trust is earned. It's not given. So I fully appreciate where you're coming from. Every single thing that you're seeing now is our concept. None of this has been submitted. None of it has been reviewed. We've not gone through Bartlett's engineering, planning, any of it. So there's a long process, and typically people don't show up before and say, hey, here's what we're looking at. But we wanted to do that because we feel like the gap between when it closed and now, it's just not fair for y'all to not have the information. Like, we want to communicate, and hopefully this is the first step, and y'all at least being like, well, maybe we'll give him a shot. Maybe he's not all that bad. Maybe if it continues to be what he says it is, or it stays open and we say, listen, sir, if you're worried about that, here's the meeting where here's who to talk to your public officials. Here's where you can come. Hopefully that transparency and openness and honesty will lead to a more positive path.
Sure. There was a lady up here earlier who indicated that the board minutes from the alderman's meetings were available. Am I correct?
I would presume that's correct. That has to be.
And do you know offhand how many times you folks have met with them since that time?
None. None. And understand. So,
has anyone had an individual meeting with a board of aldermen or anyone in that period of time?
Since we went to the mayor and alderman, I have not met with anybody. So I will say this: all of there will be.
So the city has given their blessing to this.
No, we have not submitted to the city yet. I do not have any idea how people are going to vote. We went the other night to the board of mayor and alderman meeting and showed them here just like we are y'all. But this is not finalized. This has not been submitted. This is a meeting, an informational meeting, because we want people to see it and have the information. We wanted to have this dialogue.
Well, I think you've got plenty of it and a lot of feedback.
Sure. Thank you.
Daniel Cook, 6142 Daybreak Drive.
Yes, sir.
2 questions for you. So, one, when this gets to the point where the construction starts, are y'all willing to put up a fence just between our property and the construction to block the debris, and then so we don't have to stare at all the equipment? And then question number 2 is, would y'all be willing to, I know that a lot of us bought houses on the golf course specifically because we liked the view out over the green, and now that's being taken away from us. Would y'all be willing to let us buy like an extra 10 or 20 feet of the land so we can extend our backyards and preserve some of that? Either that, or would y'all be open to relocating that walking trail to go between the existing houses on the golf course, and then have the new 10,000 foot lots on the other side of that, so we can again at least have some degree of space and we don't have somebody butting right up against us?
In terms of the construction and fencing, that's certainly something we'd have to look at. In terms of,
something temporary, like,
yes, sir, I understand. I mean, I hear the ask. Again, we're not there yet. There is no construction coming imminently. We're in the design process. We've not yet gone to the approval process. So in terms of that, we've got a ways to go.
I guess what I ask is, can we make that part of the design process to go ahead and put that in?
So in terms of fencing
Does
in
it have
between.
like a temporary fence or like a car line or something so it doesn't blow over on you so we're not staring at construction? It doesn't gotta be permanent, but they can take it when they go on down.
I get it. There are some places that do construction fencing with a mesh. I'll discuss that with the contracting company. I hear the ask. In terms of buying 10 or 20 feet, no, the lots are 120 feet deep, and so unfortunately, that's not possible. In terms of Michelle and the walk path, I don't know if it can be redirected or not. Some of that is going to be around natural falls, drainage. There's a lot of things that go into that, so I don't know that that's possible. But that's that's something that can be looked at, but I think it'd probably be difficult. Thank you.
And to respect the Performing Arts Center's time, we would ask that this is the last folks for questions, but Jared's contact information is available either outside or I think we have another slide that shows the email address that you can ask additional questions.
Hi, my name is Liz Carosa. I live on Rensselaer Drive, which is the extension of Daybreak to the east. The reason I'm most concerned about this is that we are going to see even further increase of traffic in our neighborhood from Daybreak down through Rensselaer. If any of you go down Rensselaer, please try to go 30 miles an hour and no faster. We have a major problem. We've asked that St. Elmo be extended all the way to the current St. Elmo in Bartlett. We are in unincorporated Shelby County. So my question is, when you go through all the planning process, you're going to have to also work with Shelby County because half of Billy Mayer Road is Shelby County and half of it is Bartlett, is my understanding. So it is a major problem on Billy Mayer for most of us to get out of our neighborhoods. There are lots of accidents on it. The drainage up there is not good. That's one thing, the traffic increase. We need lights, we need stop signs. That's not solely your responsibility, but as this is planned, it has to be taken into consideration, especially since the county area is very poorly maintained. The second thing I wanted to ask is who's going to manage the common spaces in your neighborhood once this development is done?
In terms of common spaces, whether that becomes an HOA situation or how we handle that is yet to be determined. We do want to have walkability for people around, so that's a conversation that's ongoing, and we've got to find a way to make all that work.
My name is Helder Nord from 6574 Holly Hearth Cove, and in 1994, the earlier of 1994, we moved in and could see the first hole from our backyard. I have a couple of questions. Were you subsidized when you built Quail Ridge or received tax benefits?
No, sir.
Okay. Bartlett schools, I think, are one reason that Bartlett is such a great property. We had our superintendent of the year, David Stevens, in 2019, I think, for Tennessee. People want to come to Bartlett, and we'd like for them to continue to want to come to Bartlett. How many of you received a phone call about wanting to buy your house on the spot? Anybody? Happens a lot. But it seems like in the last 5 years that you have let Quail Ridge become dilapidated, so that it's almost like there's no other option but to sell it. It seems that way because it's been 5 or 6 years of, yeah. So the question, two questions. One is, how would your family give back to our community from your giant windfall?
Not going to.
I would say at this stage, there's nothing. There's not a windfall. If we get a windfall, I would love to think that there'd be charitable participation inside Bartlett that benefits Bartlett. In terms of the question about the golf course, I will say this. We've operated the golf course for over 30 years. Unfortunately, things have dwindled. Initially, when we got started, there was more investment. If you build it, they will come. And we went through that phase. And unfortunately, we've dwindled and dwindled and dwindled. And to be fair, we probably should have closed it before, but it kept going. It has been functioning, trying to function on the revenues that it takes in. And that's where the gentleman earlier was talking, and that's where the employees went. You know, it was always a consolidation. It was, let's put these two jobs together, let's do this, let's work in different places. And unfortunately, we've reached a point in the post-COVID inflationary environment where if we made 300% of the revenues we did, we still wouldn't be there. So I totally get that. I mean, that's a legitimate statement, and I think it's a frustration on y'all's end and our end. I think that you don't go broke gracefully a lot of times. In retrospect, it would be great if we went back multiple years and cut it off sooner. But you know, it's just you get into these things; they go for a long time, and this is what it is. So I totally understand what you're saying, and maybe more graceful landing could have happened earlier. But basically, what has happened has been subsidized, and we've tried to operate on what it brings in, and now that's dwindled down to a point. It's less than 50% it was. It is max. It wasn't enough. The cost to maintain it has gone up exponentially. So I do want to answer that because I think that's a valid point. It's frustrating to see something not be what it was, and in this environment that was definitely happening. And so we finally reached the point where it's just not sustainable in any way. It can't support the grass mowing, much less the other parts.
Well, your family has means, and I thought it would be better if you invested more in the golf course, because the other ones closed for the same reason. They became dilapidated. So basically, we came to this point because of the condition of the golf course. And finally, it just seems to me like there's too many decisions that are being made out of greed versus the benefit of our community, and I'm concerned about that.
Hi, my name is Kristen Boylan. I live at 6364 Quail Ridge Golf. Just for the sake of argument, because there's been a lot of assumptions that it's already kind of a done deal. And it does seem like, at least reflected in this meeting, residents aren't very happy about it. What would, if it's not approved, the city doesn't vote to proceed, what would the plan be? Or are we just, is it going to be an ongoing process of, you know, if no one's interested in the property, you can't maintain as a golf course, we're just going to be stuck in limbo forever until essentially we give up or it's pushed, you know, there's a compromise reached?
Well, the technical answer to that, which, look, we're investing a lot of money trying to find something that we think is better, that is more diverse, that helps the house prices all across the board. Having more different products, targeting specific markets, I think is a draw that brings people here. The reality of it is that the golf course currently is zoned RS10. So the current zoning is to put 80-foot lots everywhere. I don't think that's the right thing, and we're investing heavily in trying to come up with something better than that. So the answer is that that's what it is, and so is that something you sell to a builder, another developer? Would somebody else be going through all this? You know, I mean, look, that's in the eye of the beholder, but our effort here is to try and find a better path forward. We don't think that 130 or 40 acres of 80-foot wide lots is the best thing. So that's where we are, and that's the answer to the question is the future of this, it's zoned residential. So is all 80-foot lots that path, or is there another path? Okay. Thank you.
Mike Hodges, we live Fairway Wood Cove. We've been there, we built it 28 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Planned on living there 5 years, love the area so much that we've stayed there. My question would be, instead of the smaller houses that you have up there, if Bartlett says, mayor and aldermen say no, I'm sure you've already looked at the scenario if you have to keep with what it was originally zoned with. And there's certain areas that you can't build on, where the lakes are, or stuff just for environmental. Did you do that study, and is it what changed? Did you determine that you couldn't be profitable if you kept the houses the same? I would rather look at the golf course, but if it comes out nobody can or will buy it and keep it a golf course, then if I have to look at another house, I want to see another house that our property lines line straight up with. Because anything goes in there smaller degrades mine.
So what Michelle has done, which I like very much, is there is nothing wrong that abuts an existing house that is smaller than that house.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness.
You can count the houses and see, how many, what's 10,000? By your own color zone on that, if you want to bring it up, your map.
So we have 90s backing up to the 90s. We have 60s backing up to 50s, and I guess 60s, is that correct?
Yeah, the 60s backing up to 60s, and then if there is small areas where a 60 needs to be in close to an existing 90, then we have a buffer around that. But I do want to say, this is clearly the first concept that we're working on. We haven't done anything that looks at it from the point of view of doing all 10,000 square foot lots. We wanted to put our best foot forward here, to show you a different option. But if the lot lines, we'll certainly look at aligning them a little bit more closely. This is just really trying to get a feel of where certain products are. We haven't really nailed down the exact lot lines yet.
Well, but if you bring up the drawing, the one that you mailed out, if you bring that one up,
sure.
You can count houses.
Right.
I'm a businessman too. I've been doing it for 35 years, so I know that if for the area that you live on, for the area that you can build on, like the lighter ones. You do have some that are set up line for line. But as you get to looking at some of the other ones, you go for every 2 houses that are existing, you almost have 3 lots. Because on your color, what you don't have up there is your color code that says which ones are 6,000, which ones that are 7,000, which ones that are 8,000. So obviously there is a variation.
And it does have to do with the curvature of the property line and everything like that.
Sure,
but we are staying, the lighter color is the 90, so the 10,000 square foot lots.
So if they were all 10,000 on the exterior part, and then the interior is what, 7,000?
7,200, and then there's small pockets only interior to us that are 6,000. But I will say where you're seeing the kind of darker yellow on the interior border, those are next to 7,000 square foot lots. So we're putting 7,200 next to 7,000s.
You got 2 houses to 1. That's not lining up.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, that's definitely...
It's not line up. Your new ones line up, but those don't line up with the existing ones.
Okay, well, we'll study those in more detail, but I understand your concern.
No, you don't care.
I think what Michelle's saying is that the houses down here, the lighter colored ones, okay, the existing houses are 90 feet wide. Those lots are 90 feet wide, okay? The interior, the darker ones are where she has some that are 50 feet wide, but they don't abut anything. We keep them inside or we keep them adjacent to the same thing. So she's not saying that she has it all lined up corner to corner, but there's 50-foot houses in the interior, and we use 60s and 7,200 footers abutting existing 60-foot lots. So there's not anywhere in her drawing that she's putting.
So that makes it 2 houses to 1.
No, ma'am, it's a 60-foot lot and a 60-foot lot, but they may not line up corner to back corner, if that makes sense.
I know it's not going to line up.
A 2 to 1 would be a 120-foot lot and 260. So there's not anywhere that she's doing anything like that.
But if it was drawn to what the original was, residential, before you got your special permit for it to be a golf course, it would look different. There would be a lot less houses there. And the orange section where you're trying to crowd 32-0 lot line, the senior 55 plus, that's a cluster, in my opinion. Last thing I know is past time, is You had a golf course in Lakeland that you had to close, right?
No, sir.
Did your family have one that it had to be in the city of Lakeland?
No, sir.
Took it?
No, sir.
No, it was, anyway, one that the city bought.
Lakeland bought it.
Yeah, the city of Lakeland bought it.
We've never had anything to do with Stonebridge, no, sir.
Yeah, but Lakeland bought it. The city of, that's who bought it.
All right, we got time for one more question.
I'm gonna be real quick.
Yes, sir.
What's the structure of the company that owns the golf course? Do you own it personally? Is it owned by an LLC?
It's an LLC.
Pardon?
LLC, yes, sir.
Is it a standalone? Or are there other LLCs you own with it?
That's a great question. I think it's a standalone, but I don't know that for certain.
You don't know the structure of your corporation or?
Yes. 33 years ago, I was 47, so I was a teenager. That's predates me.
He's a titty baby.
I don't want to drag this out.
My friends are gonna love that, by the way, sir. I'll have to get in text all night.
Your plan does not include all the golf course property. Are you aware of that?
Are you referring to the fifth hole?
The fifth hole?
Yes, sir. The fifth hole, Mark is looking at that. There's some drainage and different things, so we have not yet determined that. I've actually had somebody call me the other day and ask if they could buy it. So with the fifth hole, we've not addressed it yet. Once we get to the engineering phase, then we'll look at that.
Okay. I'm not sure how, I'm one of those nasty words. I'm a retired attorney.
Yes, sir.
I'm about to come out from retirement. Are there any other attorneys in here? Will you raise your hand? Are you brave enough? This, sir, is nothing more than a slam dunk that's going to be stuck up somebody's latissimus dorsi, okay? And if I can't do anything else, and if the people that are here can't do anything else, we're going to drag this thing out in court as long as we can.
You need a legal assistant, I got it.
You let us all sign a list when we came in here. It bothers me from a privacy standpoint. Who's got control of that list? Where's it gonna go?
I don't have control of the list. I think the list is, anytime you have a public meeting, it shows that people came, and it also allows the design team to communicate with anybody about further things. Like recently, we mailed the letter inviting people here and showing them the original plan, so it gives them a database that if we have future changes or whatever, we know that there's interested parties in here, and we can send it to you.
All right. My problem is, everybody was asked to sign the list when we came in. I don't think you had everybody sign the list and put their name, their address, and their email. I'd like to know everybody in this room, including any other developers that didn't sign that are coming in here to work on this project with you.
At this stage, sir, like I said, is proposed. There's not, I don't know why, you mean developers, who are you referring to?
People you'll be working with.
Okay.
People who are planning on working on this project. Are there any of them in here?
There's
Gentlemen,
one.
how about you? Are you involved in the project?
He's not involved in the project, but he certainly, if we get to the point that we do the construction, it's absolutely who we'd want to do it.
Did you sign the list? Did you sign the list? Did you sign the list? Don't look at me like you're asleep. Did you sign the list? You didn't need to sign the list. How about you, sir? Did you sign the list? It's part of my business. They asked for it, forced me to sign it.
Everyone, I appreciate you coming. This is a first introduction. We wanted to get it out there. It's been a long time. I appreciate you coming. If there's further questions or anybody wants to be contacted later, let us know. If we didn't have time to get to you, I hope this has been informative. This process will continue. It will eventually be submitted. There will be multiple opportunities to converse with Alderman, Mayor in the public setting. Thank you so much for being here.